then the next question, how does it come into being?
Well, I think it comes into being but when, as children, there is this hurt. And there is the feeling that there is no other way in which this hurt can be assuaged or relieved. It works in the family in some way. You are my father, and I understand through my watching you that if I am smart, you will like me, right? I learned that very quickly. So I'm going to make sure I get that love, so I'm going to go from here to there. I'm going to become that.
It's all very simple.
Right.
But I'm asking the beginning of it. The origin of making images about oneself.
Yeah, I see, if I had no image at all, then I would never get into that, would I?
Yeah, that's what I want to get at.
You see, why does...
If I never made images.
Yeah, if I never made any image at all, then no matter what my father did, that would have no effect, would it?
I think it's very important.
Well, no,
very important.
Yeah, I'm saying maybe the child can't do it, but
I'm not sure.
He probably can. Perhaps he can, but I'm saying at least under ordinary conditions he doesn't manage to do it.
You're suggesting that the child already has an image that's been hurt.
No, I don't know. We're asking.
Yeah.
But why? But suppose there were a child who made no images of himself.
Okay, let's say let's assume he has no.
Then he cannot get hurt.
He can't be hurt.
Well, now there, see, I think you're in very hot water psychologically, because a child.
No, we said suppose.
Suppose. Well.
Not the actual child that you know, but rather suppose there were a child who didn't make an image of himself, so he didn't depend on that image for everything.
Yeah.
You see, the child you talk about depended on the image that his father loves him.
That's right.
And therefore everything goes when his father doesn't love him. Everything is gone, right?
Right.
And therefore he's hurt, right?
That's right.
But if he has no image that he must have his father love him.
Right.
Then he will just watch his father. And
the child who's watching his father, but let's look at it a little more pragmatically. Here is the child, and he is actually hurt.
Well, wait, he can't be hurt without the image.
Well, that's...
No, but what's going to get hurt?
Okay, that is not... Wait, what? It's like putting a pin into the air.
No, now wait a second. Now wait a minute. I'm not going to let you guys get away with this one. Here you've got this child, very vulnerable, in the sense that he needs physiological support. He has enormous tensions.
So agree to all that. Such a child has an image.
No image. He simply is not biologically being supported.
No. Huh?
Well, he may make an image of the fact that he is not biologically supported. You see, you have to get the difference between the actual fact that happens biologically and what he thinks of it, right? Now, you see, I've seen a child sometimes drop suddenly, and he really goes to pieces, not because he was dropped very far, but because that sense of
insecurity.
Security from his mother was gone. I mean, it seemed that everything had gone, right?
Right.
And he was totally disorganized and screaming.
Right.
So he dropped only about this far, you see. But the point is, he had an image of the kind of security he was going to get from his mother, right?
Well, that's the way the nervous system works.
Well, that's the question. Is it, I think we're discussing, is it necessary to work that way, or is this the result of conditioning?
Yes. I would say yes.
This is an important question.
Oh, that's terribly important.
Because when you have been in America or this country, children are running away from their parents. But thousands are running away. The parents seem to have no control over them. They don't obey, they don't listen, they don't follow. They're wild. And the parents feel terribly hurt. I saw, there was on the TV, what is happening in America. And the woman was in tears, you follow? She said, I'm her mother, he doesn't treat me as a mother. He just orders me, give me a bottle of milk, all the rest of it. And he's run away half a dozen times.
Mm-hmm.
And this is growing. The separation between the parents and the children are growing.
Mm-hmm.
All over the world. They have no relationship between themselves, between each other. So, what is the cause of all this? Apart from sociological, economic pressures and all that, which makes the mother go and work and leave the child alone, and all that, we take that for granted, but much deeper than that. Is it the parents have an image about themselves, and the parents insist in creating an image in the children?
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying.
And
I think that's it.
The child refuses to have that image, but he has his own image.
Mm-hmm.
So the battle is on.
That's very much what I'm saying when I say that initially the hurt of the child...
We haven't come to the hurt yet.
Well, but that's where I'm trying to get at what is in that initial relationship. What is the initial relationship between child...
I doubt if they have any relation. That's what I'm trying to point out.
That's right. I agree with you. There's something wrong with the relationship. Or they don't have a... They have a relationship, but it's a wrong relationship.
Have they a relationship?
They have a...
Look, young people get married or not married. They have a child.
Right.
By mistake or intentionally they have a child. The young people, they are children themselves. They haven't understood the universe, cosmos, order, or chaos. They just have this child.
That's right. That's right. That's what happens.
And they play with it for a year or two, and they say, for God's sake, I'm fed up with this child.
Mm-hmm.
And look elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the child feels left, lost.
That's right.
And he needs security.
Right.
From the beginning he needs security.
Right.
Which the parents cannot give or are incapable of giving. Psychological security, the sense of, you're my child, I love you, I look after you, I'll see that throughout life you behave properly, care.
Right.
They haven't got that feeling.
Right.
They're bored with it after a couple of years.
That's right.
Right? Mm-hmm. Is it that they have no relationship right from the beginning, neither the husband nor the wife, a boy or girl? It's only a sexual relationship.
Right.
The pleasure relationship, which they, in accepting that, they won't accept the pleasure, the pain principle involved in pleasure principle.
Right. That's right. They won't, and not only that, they won't let the child go through that.
The child is going through that.
Yes, but they do things that they don't let the child have the pleasure that goes all the way, nor do they let the child have the pain that...
So what I'm trying to see is that there is actually no relationship at all, except biological, sexual, sensory relationship.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I'm not saying it is so. I'm questioning it.
I don't think it's so. I think that they have a relationship, but it's a wrong relationship. That there are all kinds of...
There is no wrong relationship. It is a relationship or no relationship.
Well, then we'll have to say they have a relationship. Now we'll have to understand the relationship. But I think that most parents have a relationship with their child.
When you say it's the image that's related, you say, suppose the parent and child have images of each other.
Yeah.
And the relationship is governed by those images. Now, the question is whether that is actually a relationship or not, or whether it's some sort of fantasy of a relationship.
A fanciful relationship.
Yeah, you see...
So, put it, you have children. Forgive me if I come back to you.
Right.
You have children. Have you any relationship with them? No, in the real sense of that word.
Yes.
Huh?
In the real sense, yes.
That means you have no image about yourself.
Right.
Huh?
Right.
And you are not imposing an image on them.
That's right.
And the society is not imposing an image on them.
There are moments like that.
And they're not good enough, like a rotten egg.
Now, this is an important point.
I mean, if it's moments, it's not so. It's like saying a person who is hurt has moments when he's not hurt, but it's sitting there waiting to explode when something happens.
Happens, yeah.
You see, so he can't go very far. He's like somebody who's tied to a rope. You know, as soon as he reaches the limits of that rope, he's stuck.
That's right.
You see, so you could say I'm related as long as certain things are all right. But then beyond that point, it sort of just blows up. You see what I'm driving at?
I see what you're driving at.
That mechanism is inside there, buried, so that it dominates you potentially.
In fact, what you just said is fact. I mean, I'll verify that that's what happens. In other words, it seems that there are, but it does seem that there are moments in which there are that
well, it's like
free.
the man who is tied to a rope, and he says there are moments when I
can
move wherever I like, but
That's
then
right.
I can't really, because if I keep on moving, I'm bound to come to the end. Right?
Yeah, well, that does seem to be what happens. In fact, that there's a reverberation in which there's a yank back.
Yeah, either I come to the end of the cord, or else something yanks the cord, and
That's
then,
right.
But
That's
the person who is on the cord is really not free, ever.
Well, that's true. I mean, I think that's true.
And see, in the same sense, the person who has the image is not really related ever, you see.
That's just the whole point. You can play with it.
Yeah.
You can play with verbal but actually you have no relationship.
You have no relationship as long as it's the image.
As long as you have an image about yourself, you have no relationship.
That's right.
With another. This is a tremendous revelation. You follow? It's not just an intellectual statement.
Let me share with you something. I resent this.
I see that.
You see that? I mean, I get rather angry with you. You know, I mean, there's a real, and we've seen this in other places
Well, it always happens with analysis, doesn't it?
Well, it happens in analysis, but I mean, I was thinking we had psychotherapy.
Yeah.
The meeting with the psychotherapist, this came up. There's a tremendous resentment to say that, I mean, because I have the memory of times when I do have what I think is a relationship, yet I must be honest with you and say that there's been, that after such relationship, there inevitably seems to be this yank
yanking
back.
of the cord, yeah.
The yank back. So that I must, I mean, there is that. I mean, there's no question that the image, there is a place where you say you'll have a relationship with somebody, but you will go just so far.
Yes.
Of course,
And that's where
so
the
that's
image comes
understood.
in.
That's right. But then, really, the image controls it all the time, because you say the image is the dominant factor. If you once pass that point, no matter what happens, the image takes over. Right?
That's right.
It's like
very much like that stuff of Renee Tom's. In other words,
it goes.
it goes right down, right?
Yeah.
So the image gets hurt.
Right.
Now, and the child, do you impose an image on the child? Because you're bound to, because you have an image.
You're trying to. Yes.
You have to.
Well, no, you're working at it, and the child picks it up, or he doesn't pick it up.
Because you have an image about yourself, you're bound to create an image in the child.
That's right. Yeah.
Actually, that's it. You follow, you've discovered.
Yes.
And society is doing this to all of us.
Yeah. So you say the child is, is picking up an image just naturally, as it were, quietly, and then suddenly it gets hurt, right?
Hurt. That's right.
So the hurt has been prepared and preceded by this steady process of building an image, right?
That's right. Well, it's, there is evidence that shows, for instance, we treat boys different than we treat girls.
Look at it. Don't verbalize too quickly.
But you see, if the steady process of building an image didn't occur, then there would be no basis for no structure to get hurt. You see, that's the. See, that, in other words, the pain is due entirely to some psychological factor, some thought which is attributed to me, you see, in saying, I am suffering this pain. And whereas I was previously enjoying the pleasure of saying, my father loves me, I'm doing what he wants. And now comes the pain, I'm not doing what he wants, and he doesn't love me.
But what about the initial hurts? I mean, the child...
If you want...
No, I think we've got it beyond that point.
Beyond that point.
I don't think we have. I don't think we've touched on the fact of the biological situation of the child feeling... Neglected.
Well, but that's still... what do you mean? If the child is neglected, I mean, I think that he must... pick up an image in that very process, if you see what I'm...
If you admit, once you admit, see the reality, that as long as the parents have an image about themselves, they're bound to give that image to the child. An image.
It's the image which makes the parent neglect.
Yeah, well, you're right there.
It's right.
There's no question. As long as the parent is an image maker and has an image, then he has nothing. He can't see the child,
and therefore gives an image to the child.
Right, and he'll condition the child to be into something.
Yes, and at first perhaps through pleasure, then he'll get hurt. But if he begins by neglecting him, see, I think that the process of neglect is also the result of an image, and he must communicate an image to the child as he neglects the child.
Which is neglect.
Yes, that neglect is the image that he is communicating.
That's right. And also the parents are bound to neglect if they have an image about themselves.
That's right. That's right.
See,
they must, because as long as
the child will
they're fragmenting rather than seeing the whole.
Yeah, the child will get the image that he is doesn't matter to his parents, you know, that
except in that fragment.
In the fragment they like, and so on.
That's right. So if you're this way, I'm with you. If you're not that way...
But you see, society is doing this to every human being. Right? Church is doing it. Churches, religions, politics, everything, culture around us is creating this image.
That's right.
And that image gets hurt and all the rest of it.